Today's conversation is about something that goes beyond football. Chad Greenway spent 11 years as number 52 for the Minnesota Vikings. For a long time, that number followed him everywhere. Then one day, that chapter ended. And like so many people experiencing retirement, the question became, who am I when that title goes away? This is a conversation about identity, transition, and learning how to step into that next chapter with intention. That said, Chad, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks. Well, no, thank you.
I'll send you the bill. I'll send you the invoice.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm just glad that we're close.
Yes.
I think you live maybe a mile from here?
About a mile and a half. Mile and a half.
Perfect.
It couldn't have been easier. So love that. Although, of course, because it would have been very simple because I take my kids to school. Then I forgot my dog who needed to get groomed. So I had to take him back up to Plymouth. So I've spent 45 minutes in the car already this morning for a 1-minute drive. So yeah, great.
Mr. Mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Just getting her done.
Pretty much.
Well, let's start there because I know that we're going to get to this whole idea of transition and what does it mean to kind of retire from something and move on. But if you're watching this, I took it one step below Stalker and I dressed in all of my Hawkeye and Chad Greenway.
I
was debating if you were going to find this like endearing or like
no, I love it.
Wow, what did I walk into?
I love it because it's hard to find. Like you had you've had that for a while.
I have. I bought this at the stadium. I went to a Vikings game just to watch you.
Yes.
I was not a Vikings fan growing up. I was a 49ers fan.
So was I. Unbelievable.
Really?
I was. Yeah, Steve Young, Ronnie Lott, Jerry Rice.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't know that. Now I like you even more.
Yeah.
Ronnie Lott was my guy.
Yeah.
Before
we had
ESPN.
nobody to cheer for because
exactly.
we didn't live in the state with a team.
And they were the best.
We're
the same age. They were the best.
Yep.
And I remember before ESPN was really a big thing, they interviewed Ronnie Lott, and they asked him on ESPN, what do they call NFL Films? Was that what it was called? Mm-hmm. And they said, the most feared safety in the NFL at the time, they said, how do you hit so hard? And he goes, I just aim 4 feet behind them.
Yeah. Just run through people.
Yeah. And so
like run through a concrete wall.
That
sounds about right.
So I promised the listeners we're going to get to some of this stuff, but I got to start with the personal stuff. As a diehard Hawkeye fan growing up, one of my favorite Hawkeyes of all time. You were there when I was in college. Because like I said, we're the same age. We're basically best friends, and you don't even know me, is what I'm trying to tell you.
I'm feeling that.
And you're the reason that I accepted the Minnesota Vikings as a team.
The purple.
This was the first time I ever put purple on.
You look good in purple.
Well, I appreciate that. It's the best. I mean, I just look better in clothes.
Yeah.
The more clothes I have on, the better I look. So, but all that being said, let's just start with the personal stuff because you didn't start out in the NFL, obviously. You started out as a small town South Dakota boy. So tell me just a little bit about where you grew up in South Dakota, how you got into football, and how in the world you ever figured out how to play when there's 11 guys on the field.
Yeah, it's there's a lot there to unpack. So I grew up in Mount Vernon, South Dakota. I mean, population.
Huge town.
I think we're up to 400 now.
All right.
You're
growing?
368 was on the sign when I was growing up. Population 368. Graduated with 26 kids in my class, which is the biggest class, I think, to ever graduate from Mount Vernon.
26?
26.
Okay.
My nephew just graduated here a few years ago. I think he had 17. My niece last year, maybe 15, 16. So that's the town. I mean, it's an amazing place to grow up. We're South Central South Dakota, right off I-90, just west of Mitchell, the Corn Palace. If you've driven by there, I mean, we're the next town west. It was an incredible place to grow up. 3 churches, 2 bars, all in 400 people, and a ton of
grain elevator,
big grain elevator,
and a bank.
Railroad, bank. Yep, that was pretty much it.
Farmers coming to town, drop off the grain, go to the bank, deposit the check, go to the bar, spend the check.
Yeah, one place to basically spend your money, one place to take your money, essentially. But it was an incredible place to grow up, and everybody's kind of the same. Everybody's running row crops, corn, soybeans, wheat, pigs, cattle.
Yeah,
very much farmer industry. A lot of trades, obviously, builders, construction, mechanic, just great blue collar people, honest people. And I think growing up in that town, just really that sense of community, Friday night lights. I mean, everybody's coming to football games, basketball games, track meets, supporting you. Everybody had your back. Everybody wanted you to be successful.
Yep.
That changes, changes. There's haters now and there's a whole thing, but that hometown, I think is just such an innocent, great way to grow up. You literally couldn't get in trouble. I mean, you do something nasty, they're going to call your mom and you're going to get yelled at. And if you're driving crazy, the cop's going to drive you home and say, hey, go tell your parents before I have to. That kind of deal.
I love it.
Idyllic place to grow up. And then, so I mean, sports was my life. Everybody in my family's farmers, both sides, mom and dad's side. And they're all in the industry. But growing up, I really wanted to play sports. I really wanted to be a professional athlete. Had that goal. I never really wanted to be a farmer. Wasn't like crazy about farming. I just didn't get like they worked so hard. Yeah. What seemed like for so little for the struggle, but then I realized the freedom and stuff that it gave my parents and me. And then so I just started doing some crazy things in sports, and eventually got noticed by the Hawkeyes, which is another great story to how I kind of got found.
So what is that story? Because I actually don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, growing up, I was basically like, we went to team camp at like USD, SDSU, NDSU, all those really good 1AA programs. Were all D2, and they were all very good. And I wanted to play Division I football. Well, at the time, I basically had a scholarship to go to SDSU or to NDSU or to USD to play football or basketball. I had options for both. I ran track in college too, or high school too. So like track was an option in college. But eventually, like my senior year, so we won the state championship my junior year. Yep. I was getting a lot of attention within the state, but not like college recruitment attention.
At what position? Was it linebacker?
I was a quarterback.
Yeah.
Quarterback and safety. So basically, but you're punt returner, kick returner, you're the holder you never left the field. It was awesome. 9-man football. I should probably have mentioned that if we haven't. And then, so basically, because we won the state championship my junior year, I got invited to a Nike camp in Colorado, University of Colorado, going into my senior year. Went there as a quarterback. I can remember Kyle Orton was there, really good quarterback for Purdue, played in the league. I got ranked really high. I ran really fast in the 40. I'd never been timed in the 40, never done any of these things before. And I kind of started getting some letters then, but no offers, nothing like that. Just started getting some letters and some attention. He's talking like Wyoming, the local kind of regional schools. Yep. And then my senior year, go all the way, win the state championship again, and that game, so it's held in Vermillion, South Dakota, where USD plays their indoor games, and the Dakota Dome, and a guy watched me play on TV, and he's now a high school football coach in Sioux City. He was a former Hawkeye, and he called Coach Ferentz and was basically like, have you ever seen this kid? Have you heard about this kid? And to that point, the answer was no. Like, they hadn't recruited me at all. And long story short, Reese Morgan gets sent up to my school. I had sent a highlight tape after they reached out.
VHS,
dubbed a VHS tape. I mean, that's making a highlight tape took like 2.5 weeks and like 7 study halls to get that done. For like a 13-second highlight clip. And then Reese Morgan, the recruiter, came up. He basically looked me up and down, saw that I was legit size, and then they invited me down. And eventually, I was down there for when they played Northwestern. It was a huge upset. It was before Coach Ferentz kind of got things rolling. I think that had been 2001, and no, it had been 2000. It was 2000. They graduated in 01. Had a huge win against Northwestern, and before that game, I walk into the locker room. This was the old locker room before they redid the stadium, and Coach Ferentz was literally pulling his pants on, pulling up his britches, getting ready to coach the game, and he's offering me a scholarship to play at Iowa. And long story short was there was a kid who had committed to another school that they had offered that they thought they were going to get, so it opened up this scholarship that late, and they offered it to me, and that was my only scholarship offer. And I had gone to Nebraska on a visit, I think the week before, and they had basically said I could walk on. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that one's free, that one's expensive. We had no money, missed a bunch of farm kids, and I was scared. I was very scared to fail. Very scared to fail when I made that decision to go to Iowa. I was even scared to go there, just like if you put yourself out. Yeah. So I just kind of developed this really big chip on my shoulder to go prove that I could be good enough to play there, and that's kind of my mentality. I took to Iowa City, and then fell in love in Iowa City with the program and the culture and the leadership. I mean, so many good people. It changed my life.
And you were there early. I mean, that was Ferentz's beginning.
Yeah, third year. I think 01 would have been Ferentz's third year, if I have the math right. But I can never remember those little details. But
well, not to age you, but now he's been there for like 400 years.
Yeah. So. He's literally the longest tenure coach forever. I mean, the fact it's so when I got to my NFL career, like, it was so crazy because even at that point, when Ferentz had been there for say 10 years or 12 years. I could go back, and every coach, I knew every coach, every secretary, you could get tickets. And a lot of my teammates were like, what do you mean? Like, I can't get a hold of anybody in our program. It was just crazy how that stability creates such great culture long term, because guys want to come back and be around the program they'd love.
I'm biased, obviously, because I'm a diehard Hawkeye fan, but I think the Hawkeyes do more with less relative to how much talent. If you just judge talent by the stars associated with the players, I think that program just squeezes as much juice out of their players as they possibly can.
They develop players. Yeah. It's player development. Starts with Chris Doyle, our strength coach. When I went there, obviously Ferentz and staff. Now Raymond Braithwaite, who's the strength coach there, who's under Chris Doyle before he was let go. That they develop guys, but I think they develop guys because they recruit the right kids.
Yeah.
That come in with a big chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
To prove something. And that says a lot because there's talent all over. There's football players and under every nook and cranny in this country. You just got to go find them and find the right mentality. You're never going to be able to get the 5 stars and 4, these really high-level recruits in Iowa City. You can't compete with these guys, these other big universities. But they do more with less. We'll call it less, although I disagree because a lot of those less recruits become really good pros because of their mentality. And we could talk about the Iowa program for a whole other episode. About
well, I could do a whole podcast series on this that nobody cares about in Minnesota. So,
hey, who hates Iowa, right?
Yeah,
they hate Iowa, so they might be interested. They might learn something. I love it. So Iowa obviously led to an NFL career. Talk to me a little bit about that transition. Your senior year. What was it looking like? What were you being told kind of coming into the draft? What were your prospects? What was your thought process? Because you had proved yourself. I know you went down to Iowa City. You said you were a little bit worried about putting yourself out there, but obviously had an amazing career down at Iowa. I would argue one of the best linebackers ever to play the game down at Iowa. Yeah, thank you.
I'm a little bit biased there too because, again, it's when I was in college.
Yeah.
But so talk to me a little bit about that process and kind of what that was like for you.
Yeah, I think, you go down there with the idea of, I just want to try to play.
Yeah.
And then you go, there's a quarterback, and then I moved to safety. I never really lifted weights in high school. I was always just working on the farm. So every day on the farm was a grind. You're feeding cows, feeding pigs, moving cows. Never really lifted weights. Go to college, start lifting weights, start gaining weight. All of a sudden you're 215, 220. They moved me to linebacker. And I was just like, whatever you think is best.
Yeah.
I'll go play whatever. And I think the biggest thing I learned while in Iowa City, 2 things. Number 1 is what standards are.
Yeah.
And number 2, how important culture is to winning. And that also led, I think, to my NFL career. So first thing is your standard, is what you're willing to walk by and let happen. And that started in our weight room. That started at practice. Coaches that were willing to say hard things to kids, but then kids that were willing to say hard things to kids and become leaders. And I think that's where leaders are kind of born. When you're comfortable enough in who you are that you can call somebody out for the program, not make it about you, and that kid or that person doesn't get defensive.
Yeah.
They know it's about the program. They know it's about something bigger than themselves. And that existed then. It exists now in Iowa City. You go in that weight room now, nothing's really changed. There's still, in this NIL era and stuff, it really changes things.
Yeah.
But there it hasn't changed as much. And the second thing with culture was this idea that, I'm just going to keep my head down. I'm going to work as hard as I can because I love these guys in the locker room. I love being here. I love everything about it. It's kind of nice and protected.
Yeah.
So you never really think about that NFL goal because you're just worried about what are you going to do the next day. How can I wake up and make this day the best? I'm competing with myself. I'm competing with my teammates, whether it's strength and conditioning, speed work, whatever it is, you're competing at practice. And all of a sudden, you just sharpen yourself so much day after day after day, you kind of look up and take a breath oh gosh, I could be a pro. So when I moved to linebacker, I knew my best ability was I wasn't super strong. I was pretty fast, but I was mostly athletic. Because I played high school quarterback, played safety, when I gained 30 pounds, I got faster, more explosive. My nervous system was just built for it. Not everybody has that body type that can do it. I was very lucky with that. So genetics, that was just a lucky lottery at the end of the day. Go pull who gains 35 pounds and gets faster and more explosive and all that kind of stuff. It was just lucky. And then you go there and you just put the work in. And then I got I tore my ACL my redshirt year. So I go through the whole spring. I redshirt, go through my whole winter season, gained a bunch of weight, moved to linebacker, go to spring ball, start moving up, taking reps with the 1s and 2s, finally seeing some light at the end of the tunnel after being fourth in the depth chart. And right before the spring game, I tear my ACL.
Yeah.
So sit out, going to that next year. There's a junior starter in front of me. He obviously starts because I'm injured. I come back, play some special teams. And then going to that would be my sophomore year, that second off season, I essentially beat him out, enter in the starting spot. He was a senior. It was tough for him. It was tough for me because you want to play, you want to take a spot. And my first start was against Ben Roethlisberger in Miami, Ohio. In 2003 at home, and just an amazing experience to go out there and play, and then play well, and know that I remember driving away from that game, go meet my parents at if we were going to a restaurant to get something to eat after the game. just thinking like, wow, like that went as well as it could have.
Yeah.
But like it wasn't okay, I'm going to rest on this. This is motivating to do more and to want it more. And I want that feeling again. And then I just made it my position, was All Big Ten my sophomore year, and then first team All Big Ten and 3 times after that, 2-time All-American. But my career, if I could define it with one person, it would be Abdul Hodge, who was my running mate at Iowa. He was a middle linebacker. He was a linebacker coming from Florida. This dude was born to be a linebacker. I mean, and he taught me everything. He taught me everything. We came in together. We worked out together. We lifted together. We ran against each other. We competed every day at everything. Took the same classes. Like we rode our little scooter around. I mean, 2 NFL linebackers, 235, 40 pounds stacked on this little Zuma scooter, 99cc scooter. Just was ridiculous. But that was
you both had one, or you rode it together?
He rode with me mostly on mine.
It's like Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber. Yep. And it truly was Dumb and Dumber. I think I was the dumber. He was the dumb. But my success, long-term success, and even collegiate success was because of him. He taught me how to, the level of play it was going to take, the explosiveness inside the box to get off of a block, to how to play linebacker.
Yeah.
And then we both played with Bob Sanders, who was 2 years older than us, played safety, and he forced you to play faster and harder.
Yeah.
And he kind of taught you the level it was going to take to be really good. And you saw it every day. And you're like, okay, I think I could be good, but man, I'm not even close to him. And then, a guy who ends up defensive MVP in the NFL, ends up basically hitting himself out of the NFL because his body couldn't hold up, but tremendous player.
All gas, no brakes.
All gas,
Had no idea
brakes.
how to.
And honestly, people would probably, say Robert Gallery, these guys who came before me who really identified and created the Iowa way.
Yeah.
I think it was Bob Sanders in a lot of ways. And I think even Robert Gallery, these other guys that were really good before me, I think they would say Bob changed the whole dynamic of how we think, how physical we're going to be, how explosive we're going to be. We're just going to keep coming at you regardless. We're going to kind of speak softly and carry a big stick. That was Bob.
Yeah.
And that was how he operated every day. He'd walk in, the whole dynamic in the room changed because he wanted to live up to his standard.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I was at a game, I think it was last year, it might have been 2 years ago, and he was down there taking pictures with people, and I put my boys next to him, took a picture with him and my boys. My one boy's taller than him.
Yeah.
He's 16.
Yeah.
And we leave, and I'm all jazzed up, and my boys both look at me like, who was that?
Let me show you some YouTube clips, dude.
No idea.
Well, you touch that guy, he's like touching a rock. I mean, he just was built different. And, tremendous. But you had to. He's one of those players you had to be there to see. He couldn't practice. They wouldn't let him practice with pads on because he would hurt people. he would be out of a scrimmage because no, Bob, you're not touching anybody. Get out of here.
That's funny.
And then you kind of look up, and I remember after my junior year, they had the top 5 for next year in the draft.
Yeah.
And I was listed as number 3. And I'm
wow.
I never had really considered that I was going to be that level of a pick.
Yep.
And then that was motivating, and I ended up dropping to 17th, but I ended up going to 17th with all the underclassmen that came into the draft and stuff. And and then you find yourself on draft day, and that whole story kind of starts. But basically, the Iowa program gave me everything. I mean, the mindset, the mentality about team first, the self-awareness to know what I wasn't good at, to be okay with being corrected, to be okay with saying that there's a really high standard you got to live up to, and sometimes if you don't live up to it, you're going to get called out. All that stuff made me a better pro, and I think that's why they make really good pros.
Yep.
Down there, we're still producing even more now than they did then.
Yeah.
So I get drafted in the first round, which was crazy. But my dad said something to me when I went to college, when I left the small town, and he knew I was scared to fail, and he was just simply never forget where you came from.
Yeah.
And that small town mindset, that work ethic, that everyday grind, that farmer mentality, really is enough.
Yeah.
You're never gonna be the most talented. And then that same quote meant something differently when I became a pro, because now I had all these expectations. Now, you're a first-round pick, we're paying you all this money. How fast can we turn the defense around? How fast can you become a starter? How fast can you make an impact?
Yep.
If you don't, we'll find somebody that will.
Yep.
But even then, I didn't become another person when I became a pro. I just had to do what got me there, and that was just grind every day and be myself and be humble, but also be willing to know what you're not good at and attack that.
So what was the biggest difference, though, stepping from college into the NFL? What were you most surprised by, or what was maybe something that stood out that you didn't expect?
Yeah, I think the first thing, I was essentially, when you look back at it and you get drafted, I was essentially brought in to replace E.J. Henderson.
Yeah.
Because E.J. was drafted kind of in that will spot that I was playing, and he wasn't living up to what they thought. He was a second-round pick like 3 years before me. And I come to this first practice, I'm like, this mini camp practice, and I'm like, this dude is really good. Like, everybody's so good.
Yeah.
Like, the level of difference between a starter and a second-team guy is, unless you're the anomaly, the one-percenters, right? But the level of difference is so minute. Like, these pros that are, being let go or being cut, like, they're excellent players.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, like, how am I going to beat this guy out? Like, how am I going to earn the starting spot over this guy?
Yeah.
Well, it turned out like that I drafted me, and that motivated him. So he had not been that player for 3 years before. But I come in and kind of put a chip on his shoulder. Like, he kind of knew, like, hey, the writing's on the wall. So eventually, I come in my rookie year, go to training camp, and, everybody talks about the speed of the game. I mean, the speed of the game you can watch it on TV, you can watch it from the sidelines, but it's just different. It's so different. You have such a split, not even a split second to react. One misstep is a mistake. I mean, just everybody's so good, and if you make a mistake, it will be exploited.
Yeah.
And it's just every rep in practice has to be the best. That's the difference between Division I and pros was every rep in practice is a competition. Like, there's no, we're going to take this day off. There's a guy behind you and a guy behind him both trying to take your job, and they want to pay him less.
Yeah.
And he's probably younger than you. So, like, you have to stay sharp. You have to stay good. You can't, and as your body starts to age and change, you have to find a new way to win.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to beat him with speed or athleticism sometimes. But my first year, and I come in and go through that training camp, you just saw that I was gaining some momentum, gaining some steam. All of a sudden, I wasn't thinking as much. I was just playing and reacting. All of a sudden, I'm starting to get some reps with the ones, and I was a first-round pick, so, like, that pressure to play right away was really there.
Yeah.
Go to my first preseason game, and I tore my other ACL my rookie year, and that was really tough because you all you want to do is prove yourself. It's all you want to do. You want to prove to that locker room you're good enough. You want to prove to the organization you're the first-round pick. You want to prove that you're not a bust. You want to prove all these things, but you can only do that if you're playing. So now you get to your first preseason game, and I had a nice training camp. I was doing well, but it wasn't like I came in and this guy's ridiculous. He's going to be the rookie of the year. I mean, I was kind of finding my feet and getting under my belt. And I firmly believed I would have been a day one starter and made a huge impact, but we'll never know because I tear my ACL and you're out. And then you have a year of just questioning yourself, a year of just trying to figure out, like, how am I going to do it? Am I good enough? Am I going to be able to kind of silence the doubters? And that's just a real mental game.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to that, you're not really part of the team. You're kind of out. You're doing your treatment. You're getting your surgery. You're doing your rehab. You're not really in the meetings, but you're watching. I was observing everything.
Yeah.
And I think I used that year smart to learn what it took to be a really good pro and the guys who were doing it right and the guys who were doing it wrong.
Yep.
And then you just take those lessons and you just apply them when I get my chance the next year.
Yeah. I could talk about this stuff all day, but you played 11 years while you were in the NFL. You were also married, started having kids.
Yep. Right away, basically.
And so married to your wife, Jenny, you now have 4 kids.
Yep.
All boys, right?
All girls. Perfect 4 for 4. Yep.
I'm just going to throw it out there. How is Madden not Hawkeye?
Yeah.
This is the question I've been waiting to ask this entire time.
Yeah. So our met Jenny in college, which first of all, which is incredible. Like, to meet her freshman year, 2 months into school. Yeah. When I was a nobody, we've built a relationship through college. You get married right out of college, come up here and start a career. She already had a career as a financial analyst. She has an accounting degree. So she already had a job making a bunch of money back in Iowa City area. And I ripped her out of that and came up here. And we just started our life together, and her only goal in the pre-draft was to be someplace south of Iowa. That didn't work out. She hates the winter. She's from Chicago, so she's like, I just want to go someplace warm, which I get, and now we're up here, it's great. It's just cold. Yeah. And yeah, we basically we had Madden, 18 years ago. So we had her essentially right in our second year of the NFL. Yep. And that was a blessing because you really learned about perspective and purpose. Yep. And football still is just what I did. It was not who I was. It wasn't going to identify. It wasn't going to ID me for life. Like, yes, I'll be a football player, an NFL player for life, but I really, being a dad was my purpose and a husband. And that really grounded me, I think, in a lot of good ways. And then fast forward, 11 years you played, and then Madden starts playing basketball right away. My first job post-career, and I still do it, is I run the Wayzata Youth Basketball Association on the girls' side. So that's been 10 years I've been doing that. And I coached her third grade.
Kind of a thankless job. You go from, the celebrity of an NFL player to running a basketball association?
Yeah, it was interesting because Madden was in 3rd grade, and I think I took it over when she was in 4th grade, and I thought it was the best way to become normal for my kids. Because if I was going to live in this community, the place I played for 11 years, I was always going to have, the people you're going to run into that are Vikings fans. That you're always going to be a Viking for life.
The nuts people like you.
Yeah. But you're going to have those people that are always identify you as a former Viking. But if you're going to raise your kids in the same community, I felt like I need to become just the dad. Yeah. And that was, to me, the best way was community give back and dig into it and dive into it. And she loved hoops. My first actual job was coaching her 3rd grade basketball team, which was awesome. Yeah. And now they're seniors. She's going to Kentucky, and another girl on that team that I coached is going to Bethel. Another girl on that team I coached is going to Creighton. Wow. Like that, those girls, have really done some great things. So I just started coaching her, and she started to love it. And she's really competitive and really athletic, and really mostly just aggressive competitor who wanted to win, loves to win. And now, fast forward, she's McDonald's All-American, a big-time recruit, and going to Kentucky. She had a bunch of great offers, and Iowa was a really special offer for her because she always wanted to be good enough to try to go there. Yeah. And we love Iowa. We love Jan. We love Lisa. We love the whole program. We've known them since 2002, 2001, 2002. It was hard to say no to that, but we wanted Madden to make her own decision. Yep. And she loves the Hawks and always will, and I'll be a Hawkeye for life, but she needed to make her own decision for what she thought was best, and she, carving her own path and making her own pathway was really important to her. You think her whole life, her whole sports life, she's lived in my shadow. Yep. Just because she was born into that, it's not fair to her. Yeah. And then to go to Iowa City, you're continuing that in some ways, but that fan base is incredible, and they would have embraced her. And you explained that to her. And you're following some really special players, Megan Gustafson, obviously Caitlin Clark, these really special players. And that was going to come with a certain amount of pressure for Madden. But at the end of the day, Jan and staff, because Lisa and Jan transition that happened during Madden's recruitment, they're excellent. They handled it great. They wanted her really badly. But we really wanted her to make her own decision. And she chose Kentucky, and Kentucky's got an incredible staff, great people. One thing you learn is, since I didn't really get recruited by anybody, my wife was a walk-on. It earned, she was a captain of the track team at Iowa. We never really saw anything else. Yeah. So we got out and saw a lot of campuses and met a bunch of people. And there's a lot of great people out there, a lot of great staffs that do it right, and a lot of great programs and universities. And Kentucky's going to be a great home for her, a chance for her to spread her wings and make her own name. And she's created a really long shadow, herself. Yeah. I mean, she's overcome my name a long time ago, and that's how, as a dad, that's all you can hope for.
If you follow high school girls basketball at all in the state of Minnesota, you've heard of Madden Greenway. She is probably. Yep. She is a rock star.
She's done great, and she's done great with a lot of attention. Yeah. And that's really hard. People don't realize how hard that is to show up night in, night out, and always get everybody's best. And people really, in this day and age, we talked about my hometown where everybody wants you to be successful. She doesn't live in that world. People adore her and watch her and are fans of her, and she has kids lined up outside the gym signing autographs after every game. But people really want to see her fail. Yeah. And that's just kind of just our society a little bit in general, and the social media kind of jealousy that creates some of that. But
she's not your only one.
Which is part of it.
You've got 3 others.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Beckett's a freshman. She's doing great. She's got a bunch of really high-level offers already. I coached her in youth basketball all the way up through, and then in AU as well.
So the only connection between you were both of their coaches. It's got to be you, doesn't it?
That's what I'd like to think. I'd like to think that was the case. I would say they're very hard workers. They're very talented, but it's just a lot of everybody who's got high school athletes who, when they fall in love with something, they want to be really good at it. This is going to turn into what their genetics are going to allow them to do eventually. Yeah. Which is what some parents fail to understand is their kids can be working as hard as possible, doing as much as possible, but genetics are still going to play a huge role in their long-term success and what their goals are.
So what you're trying to say is my kids are screwed.
Maybe. I've never seen you do anything, so I don't know how athletic you are.
I'm not going to try to show you either. But the first 40 I ever ran was when I was 38 years old. It wasn't good.
Well, you missed your prime, man. You should have done that when you were like 20.
Everybody thinks they're faster than they are.
Of course, including me. Yes.
I was quite disappointed.
Your hamstrings say something different now too at 38, and now at 43. My goodness.
Yeah. So Family Guy. Now you've got so the oldest is senior. How old is the youngest? What's the
9? So
9.
5th grade and 3rd grader are younger too.
Okay.
I'm currently coaching our 5th grader, and she's they play soccer. My older 2 run track as well and soccer at high school, and then basketball pretty much year round for the kids. They all love it so far, at least. So we'll see how that goes. But and then, most importantly, there are other things than sports, which is hard in our family and our life. But most important, they're great students and they're great kids. And they're hard workers. And I think at the end of the day, like, sports are going to end for everybody. It ends no matter whether you're 34 like me and you play a long time, or you end in high school. It's more about what you take from it, because I'm still working, I'm still doing things. Yeah, there's always something beyond sports, and eventually your character is going to shine in other ways. So that's what we really hope to gain from the kid from that.
Awesome. So let's transition then to past pro life. What are you doing now? Like, what are you doing to keep busy? What is that transition? We'll talk more about the touchy-feely side of how you find identity and all that in just a minute, but just kind of what's keeping you busy these days outside of the obvious of 4 daughters at home.
I would say football, the best thing that football gave me was time to raise my kids. Yeah. Where I wasn't chasing something else right away. So when I retired, I had these opportunities to go do some other things and be traveling a lot more. And it's like I was going to decide to not see my kids if I did that, and kind of make it more about me than about them. And so football gave me that opportunity to say, you know what, you don't have to go chase all this stuff. Yeah. And so first thing I did, beyond the kids and the coaching and stuff, which I think a lot of moms and dads get a lot of. We love it. I think we all love it to be a part of it. It's, youth sports have changed a lot since we were growing up, and I think there's a lot of good ways. People are talking about the negative ways. There's a lot of good things that's brought to people too. Yeah. But I started Grey Duck Spirits, which is a spirits company. Obviously, we have it sitting right here.
We do.
So
look at that.
Yep. Grey Duck Vodka.
And you know what's funny about this one? It is signed to me.
Yeah, it is.
Look at that.
How'd you get that?
Don't worry about it. I honestly, I'm not 100% sure this is true. What I remember, because I was trying to think about it this morning when I pulled out of the cabinet, which, funny enough, I wasn't ever going to drink any of it. I was just going to keep it. And then
they do sell more. So
one
you can
night,
drink that one
I know, but this is the signed one. One night I evidently decided that I couldn't take it anymore. There's a little bit missing out.
Our formula is much better now than that bottle. So our labels are new.
Yeah, this is old school.
This is kind of OG. This is when you're trying to figure out like a lot of things about our company.
I think it's from the Shields in Des Moines.
Wow.
Did you go down there and do a signing?
Yeah.
Yep. And so my dad, bless his heart, who's 36 years sober, stood
amazing.
in line
and got this.
and gave it to me.
I love it.
So I believe that's where it came from.
Well, we started that about a year and a half after I was done, 2018. Yep. And it was just this idea of like
football to spirits.
Yeah,
makes sense.
That makes 0 sense. None of us had any industry experience or knowledge.
That makes sense.
Sean Constantine, former Hawkeye, great safety from Byron, Illinois. One of the kids he grew up with, Mark Cotter, is one of my partners. He now lives in Prior Lake, so he moved up here after he went to school in Winona. He met some guys. They're all neighborhood buddies. They're sitting around in 2017 when Kyle Rudolph did the Duck Goose, as he called it. Yep. Touchdown celebration in the end zone at Soldier Field. This was the first year I was retired, and they're like, "There's something."
I do remember that.
And
actually.
then
y'all sat down and
Minnesotans chimed in. They're like, "Wait a second, you're in Minnesota. We play Duck, Grey Duck here."
Yeah.
And sure enough, my children play Duck, Grey Duck. That is a real thing.
Yep.
Like, I did not. My children did, and they started the brand essentially in a bar in Prior Lake or Shakopee or someplace down there where they met. And they called me, got a hold of me about 6 months later. They brought me in as a full partner right away, and it was just an equity partner. And I came in, and we basically started the company on a shoestring budget and no knowledge. And now we're 9 years in, and doing 30,000 cases a year, and
wow.
And it's grown to a good spot. We have multiple products, and now we're just trying to figure out, like I think a lot of small businesses, is how do you jump over that next hurdle? Yep. What's the next hurdle? What's holding you back? You're kind of in that spot of like, do we take on extra funding, give up some equity, try to grow in that way? Do we just try to continue to grow organically? So we're kind of in that spot. So that's one of the main things I do. I have a farm in Delano, which I spend most of my free time at, that I don't have to be someplace else, because I love being on the farm. As much as I didn't want to be a farmer growing up, around COVID, first of all, I lost my dad in 2014. Mm-hmm. And, he always, when he was sick for a couple of years and he was battling leukemia, he just talks a lot about just doing what he loved to do when he had his time, because you just never know. Yeah. And that really put a lot of things in perspective for me. So then in 2020, when COVID hits and kind of everybody's locked down, it's like, man, I just really want a place where I can go that's close to me that I can go and just have some fresh air, just get out on the farm, do things that I love to do. And kind of that love for farming kind of came back in a way where, like, okay, I don't have to go make money, have to toil to really farm. I mean, hobby farmer. But it's more about just being on the land and in the woods. And now I hunt it, and we have some animals out there and put up hay and throw in bales. And, it gives me a chance to have a reason to have a skid loader and all the fun stuff. And so I do that a lot. And then, I
you had to buy a farm so you could own a skid loader.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It was expensive.
That's the most male thing I've ever.
It's the best. My wife hates it. She and I, we garden. I can a lot of vegetables, make salsas. I mean, all the fun stuff. Have a pumpkin patch, watermelon patch. I love that kind of stuff, and I'm not very good at it. I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
But that's been really fun because that wasn't really my personality 10 years ago.
Yeah. So you're not the one growing the potatoes.
No. This is corn based.
Making sure you're paying attention.
Yeah. No, it's all right. Corn based. We buy that out of Chippewa Valley up in basically like West Central Minnesota is where we buy our stuff for our corn, and we or for our vodka, and then we mix it actually in our facility in Burnsville. So we filter it like 6 more times.
So this is straight Minnesota. It's all happening.
All Minnesota. Yeah, exactly. Which is what makes Grey Duck special.
Yeah.
And then what else do I do? I have some really good partnerships with some bigger companies. Like Ziegler Caterpillar is a great company that I work with for a couple of years. And then most importantly now I do a lot of speaking. So about 2 years ago I started kind of formally doing the speaking business. I was doing it kind of casually before and kind of walk in and get paid to do this or paid to do that or show up and just speak to a group of kids or whatever. And I kind of formalized a business around it and created a little website. Have a small YouTube page. It's crappy. It's just like you can see a couple of times when somebody's videoed me speaking. I'm really scared to formalize the business where I'm like, have a video guy come to every speech and break down clips and do that. I don't know that I want to be that type of speaker. You want to
be the 9-man football South Dakota.
Yeah,
speaker.
A little bit. I mean, maybe that's just me being lazy or just maybe that's me knowing that if I try to do something different like that, I would be kind of a fraud. I'm just not my personality. Yeah. So I'm doing between 20 and 30 keynotes a year, 25 last year. And that's been really fun. It's been fun to tell my story, or talk to companies, talk to sales teams, like motivate people, take stories from football, lessons I've learned. Yeah. And it's more about kind of self-growth, which I think starts with self-awareness. And in this day and age, it's so hard to tell the truth in corporate America because there's so much language that we get scared of. Yep. And that's where I just think a sports locker room, an NFL locker room, a college locker room, when you just tell the truth to each other all the time, creates really good culture in teams. And I think more teams, more companies, more organizations can do that, the better they'll be.
It's really interesting you say that because you can't do that. You can't have a locker room like that if people don't care about each other and they don't love each other. Because you're not allowed to speak to somebody like that. Mm-hmm. You are. They're just not going to take it well.
Well, and HR might step in.
Right.
There's a lot of.
They don't know that you care and that you're doing it out of love and that kind of stuff. And so to be able to create a culture, whether it's in a locker room or it's at your home or it's in a business, where that can actually happen is the tough part.
Yeah,
so,
when you have I talked about Abdul Hajj. I mean, he grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I grew up in South Dakota. I mean, you couldn't have
basically the same.
You couldn't have different backgrounds, and you show up in a common place, and you just work out together. You train together. You push each other. You compete. You win some. You lose some. Your only goal is to make him better. Yep. Blood, sweat, and tears, struggles, failures, picking each other up off the ground. Sometimes putting each other on the ground, and you can now say the truth to each other all the time, and not have somebody be offended because I've seen him put the work in. He's seen me put the work in. He knows I've earned whatever I get. I knows what he earned whatever he's gotten. I respect him in his special ways that he can play, and he's the same. And all of a sudden, you're in the locker room, and like that's how you just tip of the spear, like iron sharpens iron. That's what it's all about. If you can get companies to think that way and take their own like ego and selfishness away from it, man, I mean, companies can really thrive. But there's a lot of barriers in corporate America now. Mostly lawyers, but they're really
also known as lawyers. Yeah, barriers, also known as lawyers.
That don't let companies, I think, reach full potential.
Yeah. I just really appreciate your story. Thanks for taking the time to be here.
You bet. Thank you.
And hopefully we'll have you back sometime.
You bet. Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guests and does not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Fiat Wealth Management. content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.